welcome to one of my latest videos where I'm going to be talking about chakras. I'm going to be talking about when chakras become blocked, why chakras become blocked, some of the ages that chakras become blocked, and the process to healing your wounds through your chakras, which is actually not just energetically clearing your chakras. My name is Victoria Bedford. I'm a spiritual medium, a tarot reader, spiritual teacher, really specializing in helping people understand how to heal, helping people understand their nervous system, somatic work, trauma work, inner child work, shadow work, using many different therapies, Gestalt, psychotherapy, trauma, shadow work, energy work. I'm an energy healer. There's just, the list goes on. And to be quite honest, when it comes to learning about a lot of different therapies, they kind of interlink quite a lot in the knowledge that they are sharing between their healing. But I've integrated and I've worked with holistic healing, which is chakra energy work, with scientific healing, which is through the brain. And if there's anything that I can tell you about healing and why so many people are still feeling stuck in healing, is because regular healing modalities are working to start healing you from the brain down, when actually, and that's called top-down therapy, and there's actually bottom-up therapy. And bottom-up therapy is when you start working with the body and the oldest part of your brain, which is the mammalian brain, which is where a lot of older coping mechanisms, survival behaviors are stored in the older part of the brain. And also your body stores a lot of your trauma, your residual energy, and the experiences that you have been through. If we just try and heal through the brain alone, and we just try and focus on the brain and the thoughts and the belief systems without ever understanding that your body is a sum of parts, meaning you have a nervous system, you have a body that has muscle memory, you have a body that stores trauma, you also have emotional centers within you that lead you through maladaptive behaviors after experiencing things that have really affected you. And when we believe that we can only heal through the brain, that's kind of almost believing that if a car isn't working, that you will just keep fixing the engine. You're just going to keep fixing the engine because no, it can't be the brakes. It can't be the lights. It can't be the ignition. It's got to be the engine. And when you're looking at a human and you're trying to heal them just through the brain, this is where a lot of people get stuck, because you're in talk therapies, you're talking through the same things, you're not knowing how to explore really emotional healing, emotional regulation, emotional connection, body awareness. And also, your brain doesn't just control your behaviors, which some therapies try to insinuate. CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, your behaviors and your triggers trigger your brain. So quite often, when you're trying to start off with your brain, but it's your body that's experiencing all of this disconnection, all of this flooding of emotional triggers, creating cortisol and adrenaline. It's your body that you've got to navigate, not your brain. Cortisol and adrenaline does not get produced in your brain. It gets produced in your body. So therefore trying to navigate it through your brain. But yes, obviously neuroplasticity is important, and understanding belief systems and understanding how your brain is wired. But you also have to work on all of it. But today I'm going to be talking about chakras. And actually something that blows my mind, that when it's being spoken about in the spiritual world, when they're clearing chakras and they're working to clear the energy in your chakras, energy centers, clear them, they're not really understanding what is blocking. We are taught as people to focus on getting rid of symptoms, getting rid of the tiredness that you feel, getting rid of the disconnection that you feel, getting rid of the symptoms. But if you don't understand where the root causes are or come from, you can't understand how to heal. And I do think that it's quite important that actually some spiritual teachers and people who are learning about chakras, to teach chakras, actually start learning more of the in-depth stuff of chakras, and not that it's just an energy center. Chakras are governed by 3 different components. So first of all, each chakra has is connected to a different part of your experiencing in life. So your root chakra is your safety, sacral is your pleasure, solar is your power, heart is your connection to self, it's love, it's compassion, throat is your voice, your power, listening. And then you have your third eye, which is your intuition, your higher self. And then you have your crown chakra, which is something connected, you connect to something greater than you, the collective consciousness. Wonderful. We're just going to go through and heal them all. We're going to clear the energy. We're going to meditate. Wonderful. But it isn't though, is it? Because what you're doing is you are unblocking a blockage, and you don't know why it's getting blocked. So what happens is it's unblocking, the energy's unblocking, but then all the other murky energy is coming in because you don't know why it's getting blocked. So you're having to clear your chakras every week, every few days, and you're getting short-term relief. And when we're looking at each chakra and the components, each chakra holds an energy component, it holds a mental component, and it holds a behavioral component, okay? So when we're looking at healing the chakras, you have to understand the behavior that you have learnt because of the experiences you've had. You've got to understand how your brain is wanting to program against you for that. And then you have to heal the energy. If you only work on clearing the energy, that's going to get blocked all of the time. And this is what a lot of people are getting stuck with in therapy or on their healing journey. They're getting stuck with doing one. You're working on the brain and reprogramming the brain. You're working on your behaviors, learning to change your behaviors by just doing it without learning the somatic work of sitting with why you have those behaviors. And then you're just clearing your energy. And nobody is really, and I won't say nobody because there's lots of people that do talk about this, but it's in the minority, not the majority. Majority of people aren't talking to you about the process of doing all three. And I'm going to do that today. When we're looking at each chakra, so say your root chakra, we are looking at the experiences that led you to feel unsafe in your life from the ages generally of 0 to 7 years old. And this is when attachments are really formed in childhood with your caregivers, with people around you. And sadly, if your parents were experiencing some mental health, emotional pain, dysregulation, financial problems, losses themselves, your attachment wound is going to be affected. And if you grew up in an environment where there was emotional dysregulation or where the environment wasn't wholly emotionally safe or physically safe or, through whatever, it could be, it doesn't have to be your parents going through something. It could be where you're growing up. It could be cultural. It could be school. But if you're growing up in an environment and your sense of safety is not created, co-regulation isn't created because maybe your parents emotionally shut down or your caregivers are, your root chakra will become blocked. And what will happen is you'll create behaviors that lead you to stay in flight or flight, because when your safety is affected, your nervous system gets activated into flight or flight. And flight or flight looks like being busy all of the time. And getting things done, always thinking that something bad is going to happen, not being able to rest, not being able to relax, feeling as if, so what happens is you get the behaviors of always being busy, can't relaxing, can't settle, always got things on your mind. And then you've got your mind that goes, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I need to make people love me, I need to fit in. So can you see that the core wound of lack of safety and attachment somewhere has led you to not attach to yourself. So you don't feel necessarily safe in your choices. You don't feel safe in facing fear because your nervous system is hyper-regulated now, over-regulated, over-connected. You've got so much fear in your body without realizing, and you don't know why. So now you have behaviors that are keeping you trapped in fear. You will be somebody who avoids change. You will feel like, I just can't make choices. I can't face change. It's too uncomfortable. I can't do it, without ever realizing that change is happening anyway. So you will not be making choices, but you're making choices by not making choices. But it all comes from a sense of lack of safety. We've got the sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra is the chakra of the ages from 7 to 14. And this chakra can become blocked when you wasn't able to individuate. And this is the pleasure chakra, okay? This is the chakra of creativity, the chakra of sense of self, the chakra of creating businesses, creating creative stuff, having fun, being free. If you grew up in a home that was quite rigid or that was dominating in some way, or you're on edge and you've always got to do as you're told, or you weren't able to individuate, which generally happens around the age of 8 or 9. And individuation is where you are able to start saying, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to wear that. I don't like that. And this doesn't mean that as a parent, you have to let your child call all the shots, but it does mean that we have to allow the child to develop a sense of self. Not all of it, parents weren't taught this. This is why it's important not to shame parents, but to understand for ourselves and for our children as they get older, why things may be happening. And this will see children quite often grow into adults with OCD, or the need to have power over their environment, the need to not be able, to do carefree things. They're not very spontaneous. You are somebody who stays in autopilot. You're somebody that does the same thing over and over again because it's comfortable. But also, you struggle to make choices in your own life, such as you don't probably know who you are. You won't know what real food that you like. You won't know what music you may like now. You might not have been able to explore a sense of real self, okay? And then you have the solar plexus chakra, which is the power chakra. It's the chakra of I am worthy, I am good enough. It's the chakra of personal power where you have boundaries. And this comes from the ages of generally 15 to 21, where you're going through a stage in your life where you're starting to be able to make choices, learning the consequence from your choices. And quite often, not just through parental, by the way, wounds can happen through anything. It's not just parental, it's through societal, it's through, it could be a part of your genetic makeup for you to be a bit harder on yourself. So when societal expectations are being pushed upon you, you find it more difficult to face it in a different way. But also, as a child, you're not equipped to navigate adult life. And really, it's for our parents to be able to give us the equipment to be able to live an healthy adult life. The truth is, half of our parents struggled themselves massively. So when you're going through this stage and you're learning about consequences, but say, because your other chakras are blocked, you've got huge fear. So now you don't like to take chances. You don't like to. So you're now going in a life of who you think you should be. Because remember this, the root chakra and the other chakra, and it's blocked and you don't have a strong sense of self. So now you're going through life doing and living life who you think you should be, making choices that you think you should make, but always feeling like, and at this point, you wouldn't generally feel like there's something missing. You're just getting on with things. This is what life is about. And it's not until you become older, generally, do you go, I just feel like something's missing. I just feel like there's a bit of a disconnection. And then you get to your heart chakra. Now, let me tell you something about your chakras. They can block at any point. Okay, so you could have a wonderful childhood, and then I'm talking about generalization of blockages, but then you get your first relationship. So say you get your first relationship and your attachment wounds leading you to an unhealthy person, and you are not able to be in a healthy relationship. Your heart chakra is going to block, but also your heart chakra is going to block if you grew up in a home with lack of compassion. If you grew up in a home where love for self wasn't prevalent, like parents didn't know what love for self looked like, so they couldn't install in you what love for self looked like. And what happens is, especially when there's a root chakra, when the other chakras are blocked, your heart is not able to have compassion for you, which in turn will lead you to feel quite maybe judgmental to self, quite judgmental to others, even if you don't say. It will lead you to feel angry and you don't know why, because there's lots of things that you've experienced in your childhood that you're angry for that you were never allowed to validate. Because this is when we go on to the next, and this can happen from 21 years to 28 years, but it also can happen from 4 to 7 years, depending on how your attachment wounds were. And again, to be quite honest, your chakras can block at any point. So these ages are guides into adolescence, guides into growing, but it helps practitioners like myself to be able to, I don't tell you that I'm doing this, but I'm able to gauge your experiences and, not so I can just sit and blocking your chakras all the time, but I can learn what behaviors you have created and because I'm an energy healer too. I work with psychotherapy, but as an energy healer, I have found in my own healing, after extensive trauma in my own childhood, through home life trauma to school life trauma to, and I mean, like, we're not talking small amounts of trauma, we're talking large amounts, to the point I got diagnosed with bipolar at 18, CPTSD, OCD, body dysmorphia. The list is endless. Then fibroid. The list is endless of the things that I've been diagnosed with over the years. Low immune system after having sepsis, my body going into shutdown constantly in flight or flight. So I'm coming from experience here. I'm coming after really, really spending years and years and years, and actually the last 13 years studying in depth the body's reaction to trauma, how it's stored, how we navigate it, how we heal it, so that I'm here today. And I'm not saying you have to become medication free, but, I've come from addictions of substances, addictions with spending, addictions of many, many kinds, and even some of the addictions that people would label healthy addictions, but that's a whole nother video because no addiction is healthy. But after doing all of that extensive work on myself and understanding this, it's been able to help me really understand why for so long I wasn't healing. Because you can go to all of these different places to do this healing work, energy healing work, Reiki. It is wonderful, and then you're going to therapy, which just focuses on the brain, and then you're doing but nobody is telling you you've got to put it all together. It's always treating parts, but someone somewhere has to teach you. You are having to put all of these parts together, because you can't heal unless you become whole. Healing from your experiences is about healing the fragmented parts of yourself. Your chakra creates fragmented parts of self. If you have an attachment wound, you will fragment from authentic self so that you can be loved by others. That means you'll end up in unhealthy relationships. You'll end up in connections where you people please. We're going to go on to the throat chakra now. And the throat chakra is about 7 to 12 years, but it also can happen between 13 to 19 years. Generally, your throat chakra becomes blocked in childhood, okay? Because if you've been taught a healthy sense of self on owning your voice and learning to listen in a healthy way, you generally don't go and revert backwards because you already have those core skills. When the throat chakra becomes blocked, it's because your self-expression and communication and authenticity were blocked. You are not allowed to express how you feel. Schools block throat chakras. Parents who are authoritarian, who are rigid, who are strict, who have been taught to not let the child speak back, block throat chakras. And it's important that if we had a healthy childhood, that we were encouraged to speak our truths. We were encouraged to own our emotional feelings and share them. But because our parents carried shame too, anything we shared made them feel more shameful. And what happened is it would trigger them. So what did most of us learn? Don't say anything. What did most of us learn about our voice? And then what happens is, when you're not taught healthy communication, and learning healthy communication is learning to own how you feel, knowing it might upset somebody, but you allow yourself to, it's not about saying it in a way that's palatable, but you deliver it in a healthy way. You don't need to get into arguments about it. You can just express how you feel, let the other person navigate it. They'll either come back to you and navigate it with you, or you'll have to let them go. Most of us have been taught to argue our point or shut down our point, argue our point or shut down our point. And we're never taught to be able to own our voice. And if you're never taught to own your voice, you're never taught to be able to listen. So that when anyone says anything that you don't like, you will likely feel criticised. You will likely feel... So what does this lead? This leads to behaviours of people pleasing. This leads to behaviours of my voice isn't worthy. This leads to behaviours... And then your brain creates belief systems. Do you see how it works in the 3-step process? You have an energy blockage from experiences you've been through. Creates maladaptive behaviours such as emotional shutdown, emotional overwhelm, the inability to express how you feel. You don't know authentically who you are, which then creates belief systems in your brain. I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, my voice isn't important, no one's going to listen to me anyway. Oh, it's going to cause problems, so why say it? You see? So if you just heal the energy of that, you've still got the behavior and the thought system. If you only heal the thought system of that, you've got a body that will get triggered when somebody says something you don't like. Or you've got a body that will get triggered when you feel something but you don't know how to express. You need to group them all together. And then we have the third eye. Most people who have experienced childhood adverse experiences are highly sensitive people. And highly sensitive people have a brain that's wired a little bit differently. It actually is classed as a neurodivergent. But I haven't really met many people that have had extreme childhood experiences that were not a highly sensitive person. Neurodivergence is bigger than anyone will ever believe. And now, highly sensitive is not the same as autism, but there's lots of coinciding things. It's not the same as ADHD, but it's a form of neurodivergent. And this is why there are so many people with brains that are wired differently that you'll never know. Because we're all being made to live in an environment as if our brain is all wired the same. And this becomes shut down when you are taught to disconnect from something that you know. So your intuition. So you sense something's wrong. You sense something doesn't feel right. You ask certain questions. And sadly, parents and teachers gaslight us. Is everything all right? I feel it's not. Stop being nosy, get out of it. It's nothing to do with you. Or, yes, everything's fine. And it's quite well-meaning, to be quite honest, sometimes. Yes, everything's fine. Don't worry. What are you worrying about? And what this does is, it shuts down that part of you, and it teaches you to deny what you witness. It teaches you to deny what you feel, deny what you witness. And highly sensitive people who have had experiences in their life that have shut this down, you will be psychically attuned, but also shut down. And this can lead to a whole host of issues. This can lead to you doubting yourself all the time when knowing that there's something wrong. This can lead to you doubting what you feel. This can lead to you gaslighting yourself. This can lead to you feeling everything so greatly and you don't know why, because nobody's taught you to connect to it. And for you to heal that is the 3-step process as well. You've got to energetically clear it. You've got to understand that your brain tells you, your brain is gaslighting you. So when you feel something, you've got to reaffirm in your brain, I am feeling this. This is real to me. Now, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to behave different about it. And over time, you teach yourself a different way to behave about it. For me, when I started to learn to reconnect to all of my chakras, when I felt something, but I gaslit myself and said, no, that's wrong. No, it isn't wrong. What you're feeling is right now. It's time for you to explore it. So I'd feel the trigger in my body because I would get triggered like, no, I feel something's off here. But instead of being like, what's up? Or shutting down, I would sit with that trigger and go, I'm feeling something, but actually maybe it's not about me. Maybe they are off, but maybe they're not off with me because my root chakra being unsafe and in fear, thinking everything is about me because I've lived in chaos. Actually, what I'm feeling is real, but maybe it's bigger picture than I think it is. That leads you to sit with the behavior. It leads you to sit with the emotion, to explore it. So you feel the emotion, yeah, I do feel, and you teach your brain that what you feel is right. And even if it tells you through its old programming it's wrong, you reaffirm why and it takes time. And then you sit with the new behavior of, I'm not going to react, I'm going to sit and I'm going to respond. And what responding may look like is, you're breathing into your body, you're breathing into your energy center, you're recognizing what's going on. And then you recognize, I don't want to go and shout about this or pull away. I'm just going to ask if they're all right. And if they tell me they're not, I'm going to accept that. Because if they're not going to tell me whether it is about me or not, that's not about me. And obviously I can't go into detail and depths how I'll do this with everyone, but it's the 3-step process. It's understanding that each energy center has an emotional, energetic residue. It has a behavioral, and it has a mind. And you have to, whether you can class it 3 or 4, it could be mind, body, emotional, and energy. Emotions and energy are quite interlinked because, but they're also separate. So it's the 4, isn't it? But it's that, I always link emotional and energy together. But And when the crown chakra becomes blocked, and the crown chakra is open, well, all chakras are open when you're born, but the crown chakra becomes blocked when you lose faith in things around you, where you have been shown time and time again that life is happening to you and not for you. And what this does is this almost gives you a real sense of self-focused. And the thing about healing is we do need to learn to become observant of self, but not self-focused. Self-focus can lead us to just focus on our experiences and our life alone. And this is what happens in our wounding, which is normal because we don't know how to not be self-focused, because we don't know how to believe in something greater than ourselves, because life has never given us a belief to believe in something greater than ourselves, because it's kind of screwed us over from what we feel from the experiences you've had. So learning, and in my journey, learning to connect to my crown chakra and open up to the divine collective source. And how that shows up is we are all, and the thing is, right, there's a collective consciousness. How do you think that people across the world, one person can come up with an idea and another person can come up with an idea and they're the same ideas? And it's like, oh my God, they've never met each other. There's something called the collective consciousness. It's a divine consciousness that we all have connection to. It's a divine energy, a divine source. And when we learn about that energy and when we learn to tap into something greater than ourselves, we totally learn how to raise our vibration, raise our energy, connect to it, to believe in it, to feel in it, but also to manipulate it to a certain extent. And I don't mean manipulate it as in like manipulation, but I do mean as in you change it. And this is about quantum physics and things like that. But when you start connecting to your crown chakra and connecting to higher source, connecting to something greater than you, realizing that you only do 50% of the work in your healing and the divine universe and energy responds to the other 50, it takes the pressure of believing you need to fix everything. You just need to show up to yourself. You need to understand yourself. You need to work with people, whether it's myself or others. You need to learn more about what your experiences have impacted you. And this is the thing about healing. And it saddens me a little bit, and it's nobody's fault because, you know, everyone's drawn to what they're drawn to doing. But it saddens me that no one's really understanding the true concepts of trauma. Okay, trauma is not an external experience, it's how it's affected you, but also how childhood experiences have really laid the foundational groundwork for who you are. And when I say exploring them, I don't mean you have to relive them, but I do mean that you have to become aware of how they've impacted you, aware of what they've done and how they've shaped you so that you can learn who you are. It's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you're flawed. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you've experienced things that you're not aware of. You're not aware of how they've shaped you. And when you do become aware, you will learn how to change it. You will learn that you are not who you thought you were, because that was who you were made to be. I'm hoping that talking about chakras has really helped you understand a little bit at a deeper level why clearing them energetically isn't just enough. And I'm not here to shame anyone that just teaches people clearing them energetically, but I do love for us to be able to talk about things in a multifaceted way, because there is more than one layer to it. And when we understand that more than one layer to it, we can really start delving into it, whether you delve into it on your own, whether you delve into it with somebody like myself. But honestly, it really is transformational. It transformed my life when I started to really connect the dots, and it affects your aura. And I'm going to talk about that in another video, how healing the behavior, the brain, and the energy and emotions within each of your chakras can really get through the 12 layers of your vibration so that you can self-actualize. I want to thank you for watching my YouTube channel. Please give me a follow if you don't follow me. My website is www.thespiritualhub.uk if you want to know what work I do. But I will link it under here. And thank you for watching me. And I hope to keep bringing more educational videos to you guys.